Go. Come on. Okay, here we go. All right. So the first thing I want to do before we carry on is I want to make some definitions. Okay. The first definition I want to make is what is grassroots mean? And because when we begin this thing, we need to make sure that you and we're on the same page. Okay, and we're not going to talk about developing high level athletes. We're not going to talk about anything except sorry guys, we've got stop share. Admit all these people. Okay, we're not going to talk about pro level. We're not going to talk about elite kids. I'm talking about grassroots level basketball. And for me, I looked it up. The definition of grassroots level is the most basic layer. Okay, the most basic level of playing the game. And most of you are going to be involved in that. And I certainly am and always have been and always intend to be involved in the game at the lowest level. And when I say lowest level, I don't mean to say that is in any way bad. By lowest, it's like the lowest age group, the first entry point for kids. And some kids spend their whole lives as they mature and then become adults, really at that grassroots level. And we have coaches all around the world that will spend their entire lives at that level. And it's a foundational level. It's really the entry point and the starting place for the entire game. So it's a very important place to start. And so that's what we're going to talk about tonight, grassroots level. The next thing I want to talk about is philosophy. So what is philosophy? Philosophy is a system of thought. And, I have a little slide here that says you think too much, and in the game, sometimes we do think too much. And in many areas of life, we're, at least, I speak from my personal experience. Whilst in COVID, there are a lot of opportunities to learn. There are a lot of opportunities to study online courses, to go and learn more about the game, to share things on social media. And it can get overwhelming. It can be too much. So what I want to do today is two things. All right. I want to present to you a system of understanding your own philosophy. Okay. I want to present to you a very easy way to have a look at your philosophy and understand what it is, because understanding your own philosophy is not so easy, and it means to be understanding yourself. All right. Once you understand yourself and the reasons that you coach, or the reasons that you entered the game, the reason that you stay in it, and the reason that you like to work inside of basketball and with the people that you do work with, understanding that it has to be at the root of everything that you do. It can be quite easy to try to please everybody as a coach for a number of reasons. One is, when we coach, we lead. That's our personality. We like to be out in front. We study, and we like to present our ideas. And there are many people that want to follow us, especially when we do well. But what that means is we are prepared to put ourselves in situations that many people are not. So it can be a double-edged sword, because then you might have people coming to you that want you to do things a certain way, or want you to coach them, at a certain level, or coach a certain team. And sometimes, you could be motivated by, you just think that you can do it, or maybe there is a financial reward there for you, or just because they ask, right? And there's no one else around. And we are the people that are prepared to step forwards. I think it's very important, if you can, and there's great value in being able to say no, because this is what I do. This is the work that I do, and these are the people that I work with, because I have skills there, I have strengths there, It's my community, and we can branch off and go and try to do other things at different times, but you can never be all things to all people. And we can never if we spread ourselves so thin as coaches and try to coach all the levels at the same time, you're never going to be able to do anything very well. What you put your energy in grows. So today we're going to talk about grassroots coaching. And if you are a grassroots level coach, or if you spend some of your time there, I'm going to present to you how you might be able to distill down your philosophy here. And I'm also going to present mine, to give you an idea of where I'm at with the game at this level, all right? Now, here's how I'm gonna show it to you. This is what I'm going to say, that you can find your philosophy. Finding your philosophy for me is like a 5-step process. The 4 steps being like the really, the ones where you're gonna, they're very personal to you, and it's a little bit of an inner inquiry. Okay, the 5th one is very much basketball related and is it's somewhat easier, and I won't spend a lot of time talking about it, but it's still an important issue. So it's, first of all, it's finding your North Star, and this is like, what's your why? Why do you coach the game? Why did you get involved in it? And what kind of experience do you want for the people that you coach? Okay, and then we have the 3 Ps, your priorities, your principles, and your practices. If you can distill these down, you will have a very clear order of why you coach, what you want to get out of it, how you want to connect with your people, what you're going to do, and how you're going to do it. Okay, and then finally, we're going to talk about your library, like your actual kind of physical skills in the game. Okay, so let me move on to the first one. Sorry, I hope it's not annoying. Like this. I just don't want to talk too much with you looking at a screen. Maybe we're just going to do it like this. So, North Star. Why, there's a question for you all, like, why did you start playing the game? Why did you start getting involved in it? What was the reason for you to begin playing the game, to stay involved in the game, and then to become a coach? What drove you to those things? If you have, here's one thing I wanted to mention as well. Always have notebooks. Okay, if you're a coach or an athlete or a parent, or if you're just a human being, I think these are a good idea. I'm going to present some ideas here today, and I hope they're useful for you, but they're only going to be as useful as you take them in. And I think one of the best ways to do that is to write things down. Later you can review it, and then you can distill down further, what you like and what you don't like. But, we're bombarded with presentations and documents and playbooks and all this kind of stuff. And we don't spend a lot of time writing, but I found that writing my ideas when I have them and then reviewing these things later on is a very powerful way for me to start to come up with the right ideas that I want to pursue. So the North Star is, why did you get involved? Why did you keep going? Why did you become a coach? And then thinking about that, is that the same as the reason that you might want kids at grassroots level to go into the game and stay in the game? Okay, now for me, it has to be, if we're talking, we are talking about grassroots, we're talking about the first entry point and the lowest level. It has to be about enjoying the game. Enjoying being with friends, enjoying being around other people, having fun, smiling, moving, and just in general having a great experience. That is, for me, as a grassroots coach, that is my North Star. And it's not just fun for the kids. It has to be fun for the kids and the parents and me. Because you notice, if you're a coach, you know that you can create a session in a certain kind of way, and it can be fun for the kids, or the kids can get a lot out of it, but you might not enjoy it that much. So if this is happening a lot, if you're a grassroots coach and you're creating these sessions where all the kids are having a great time, but you're not really enjoying yourself, there's something wrong. Okay. And maybe going back to this first question of what is your North Star and why did you get involved in the game? And is that the same thing that you want for your kids? Maybe that will help you to address some of these issues. For me, when I was 11 years old, I just went, my friend took me along to play basketball one day at a leisure center. I just enjoyed it. Somebody then asked me to go to a club and I did that. And I just found I had a little bit of found a little bit of a knack for it. You know, I had some success early, which is why I put these 3 words here at the bottom. For me, this is about access, success, and confidence. Okay, so when I coach young kids or children that are at the lowest level of the game, we're talking about the basics, I want to give them a place where they can access the game, right? So I don't want to be denying people the opportunity to play. And sometimes we might have to get creative with that. If you are coaching 50 kids and then another 10 kids want to come in, this is a difficult problem. And but it's a nice one. That means you're doing a good job. So we got to find an assistant coach. We got to find a parent. But I gotta give kids the opportunity to play. All right. The next thing I want to do is I give them an opportunity to succeed. Okay, because confidence in young children, I think maybe now more than maybe more than ever, but certainly. When I look at kids that I'm around and kind of the shape of the world at the moment, with so much or so little human contact and the difficulty in the education systems right now with so much like talking about progress and trying to get better. And it's all just about get your head down and do your work. You know, for me, when I'm faced with little kids, get them access and to give them confidence. And the way to get them confident or help them gain some confidence is by doing well. Okay, so that's why in mini basket at grassroots level, they lower the hoops and we make the ball smaller so that the kids can experience success, so they can actually throw the ball in the basket and they can dribble it and pass it and catch it. If they had to play the game at the, with the 10-foot hoops and the size 7 ball, then they wouldn't be able to do it. And then very quickly, kids would say, oh, this is no good, I can't do it. I don't know if you noticed this, any of you have children. I noticed this today. My daughter, who's 2 years old, she was doing some coloring. And, she was just in her own world. She doesn't color in the line. She doesn't care about that. She's 2.5 years old. She's just got a pen and she's making the shapes or whatever it is. It's all going outside the line. And sometimes she goes inside the line, but it has to be her decision. When I came over and started saying to her, oh, let's do this in this color because that's what it says. And then, we've got to try and stay inside the line. Immediately, she didn't want to do it anymore. Now, what I had done is made things too difficult too quickly. Instead of giving her access, which she already had, I closed the access off and I stopped the opportunity for her success. So I think that when we coach basketball, let's critically look at ourselves and make sure that we're allowing kids to come in and try the game. And when they come in, that they very, very quickly have the opportunity to be successful. And that might be with the basketball, the size of the basketballs that we have. It might be with the hoops that we have, the equipment in other ways, or it might be the way that we organize our practices in terms of what kind of games are you playing that allow kids to touch the ball or have an opportunity to dribble or have an opportunity to score the ball and not be standing in lines waiting too long, things like that. All right. So the North Star, whenever for first step number 1 for you, it might be a bit different. It might not be fun. It might be something else. It doesn't matter to me. What I want to press on here is that anytime I'm coaching, if I coach for 3 months with one group, I can come back and say, right, okay, what is my North Star? What am I trying to achieve every day? Enjoying the game with the kids, making sure they have opportunities. Am I doing that? How are my practices structured? Is it working? And then I can go back and say, right, okay, it's not working right now for this reason or that reason, or it is. Okay. Second one, Second step is priorities. Okay, I wanted to put values here, but you know, I got my 3 P's: priorities, principles, and practices. It sounded nicer. So really what I'm talking about here is values. Okay, you have a guiding star of having fun and enjoying the game, giving access and having success. Now I want to connect with myself so that my reasons for being involved in this stuff can help me to enjoy myself and add value to the people that I'm working with. All right. And if you've listened to me before, you will have heard this before. But for me, the 3 things that I always want to, that these are the reasons that I'm involved in what I do. Okay. Connection, growth, and discovery. So I want to be able to connect with people. That's why I'm doing this here today. You know, we have, I've been very fortunate to come into the Filipino basketball community through my work in the NBA. And before that with the Saigon Heat. I've met a lot of you guys, and it's always a wonderful, wonderful experience to be around coaches who love the game, coaches who love being with kids and teaching and also learning. And so connecting with people like you is something that I cherish. That's my number 1 priority with the work that I want to do. Okay, the next priority is growth. I want to grow, I want to improve, I want to get better. And this takes some courage, because if you want to improve and grow, you have to look at yourself critically and say, right, where am I doing well and where am I maybe struggling a little bit? Do I want to improve in this area? And why am I struggling? And you know, sometimes if you're struggling with talking to your partner, or you're having a problem with a relationship with your wife or your husband, it's difficult to look at yourself and find the fault in yourself. But looking for that and finding it, because you will, if you look honestly, there's growth there. There is a way for you to grow as a human being. And as coaches, I think we talk a lot to our kids about learning and improving. And this is self-reflection. You have to be open that you're not a perfect person, and there is always room to get better. So we got to do that ourselves. We have to be the change that we want to see in the world. Finally, my third one is discovery. I think it speaks for itself. I'm open to finding out what's going to happen next. And, if you know me, you know that sometimes I talk about what I see in the game, which is like the prevalent conversations around winning and losing and skill development. These are 2 topics which seem to me to be like the biggest topics and the most important ones of our time. Winning's like all important, even at lower levels, and skill development, like getting better at ball handling and shooting and one-on-one play, seem to be like the most important parts of the game. And with regard to winning and losing, I spoke a little bit a couple of weeks ago on our webinar here about creativity. And sometimes as coaches, if we're so focused on winning and we think that we know what the answers are to win the game, we kill creativity. We draw the play in the end of the game for the kids or the players to execute. And, we don't leave any room for them to, see the space and execute as they see fit and make mistakes if that's what's going to happen. For me, it's much more exciting for it to be kind of open and let's go and discover what's going to happen. Let's not think that we know everything. Now, what I wanted to do here, as I said in the beginning, was I'm showing you what I currently kind of hold on to, I suppose, if you like, about my philosophy, and I put that out there for discussion. I'm sharing this with you guys so that we might have a discussion about that. These things may change for me. The other thing I wanted to do is help anybody that's interested in discovering their own way forwards here. So there are two ways that I kind of know right now to find these priorities. Okay, one is by somebody called Brené Brown, who's written a number of books about leadership. She has some documents which list out values and behaviors. And what you do is you just take a look at the list and you start paring down the ones that you think relate to you. Okay, so you just cross ones off that you don't like, or you circle the ones that you think are relative to you. You will create a shorter list, and then you have to pair them off. So if you've got 10 left, you've got to take 5 away, pair one against the other, and say, right, well, that's not my one, this is my one. And then you've got to get down to 2 or 3. Okay, at the end of this call, I'm going to give you my email address, or many of you are connected to me on Facebook. You can send me a message and I'll send you these documents for you to do this activity. I think it's a great way to find your priorities. The other way, which is it's a little bit different, and it's you may have some more interesting discoveries, but it might take a little bit longer. Okay. The other way to do it is to write down right now, what do you think your values are? Or what do you think your priorities are? And only write 2 or 3. Okay. And then once you've written them down, then take a few minutes to think about in your daily life. And it's a bit difficult right now with COVID, but maybe it's not. Maybe it's even more intense because you're with yourself a lot more. So maybe this is even more true. What do you spend your time, your money, and your energy on? Okay, because then you may or may not come with 2 separate answers. For example, I'm a family man, right? I got 2 kids. One of my values might be family. I might say, my value is family. That's my biggest thing. But then when I look at my life, where do I spend my time, energy, and my money? I go to work from 8 a.m. until 6 p.m. each day. And then I spend money on drinking beers at the end of every day, with my friends. And then, I get home after the kids go to sleep and I watch TV or whatever, you can see that my time, my energy, my money is being spent on working and maybe making money and maybe doing something else. It's not necessarily family. But it could also be that you're going to work to make money for that family. So just play with it, okay? But there are 2 different ways there to find out your priorities and how you look at the world. And I think distilling those down to 2 or 3 can really help you to connect who you are with what you do. All right. Okay. Next one is principles. Principles are fundamental truths. Fundamental truth is something which is not necessarily anyone's opinion. It is real. It is true. So here we transcend grassroots basketball a little bit. We're talking about being a coach, and your North Star for grassroots basketball will help you to make sure that you are coaching in the way that helps all the participants have the right experience. Once you've got your values together, then you can connect those with the way that you act each day. And now I'm going to present to you what I believe to be fundamental truths as a coach, that you have to be doing these things. And if you're not doing them, you gotta start looking at, how do I get closer to living this truth every day? And again, I want to emphasize that this is me sharing for you. So if you think that I'm missing something here, or you have a different set, then let's compare notes, because that's always a great experience with other coaches. So being prepared. Planning. This can be about planning a whole entire year, or 3 years or 5 years. It can be about planning one session. It can be about planning tomorrow. I think that preparation is such a, it's a fundamental truth. You have to do it. The people that are prepared, the people that spend a little bit of time thinking ahead, they will be in a better position than the people that don't. Okay, now there are many ways to plan a practice, and I don't know if it's that important which way you do it, whether you write it down, whether you take notes on your phone, or whether you have a software to create your practices. The important point is that you are considering what is coming. You are thinking, so for me right now, it's a bit of a daily preparation. How is my day going to look tomorrow? What time am I going to wake up? What's going to be my rituals during the day? And what kind of food am I going to eat? What are we going to do with the kids, and blah, 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 blah. For my basketball practices, how many kids do we have? What equipment do we have? What is the space that we're going to be in? How long do we have for the practice? These are fundamental preparation principles, right? Participation number, equipment, space, time. Thinking about these things can really help you to build a very good practice, and it also prepares you for that what if moment. This is a great question to ask before you finish your preparation. What if? So let's say you plan a practice for 10 players. What if you don't have 10 players? What if you only have 9 or 8 or 7? You don't have, I'm not suggesting that you spend hours and hours and hours planning every single practice, but the beginning of planning, just asking that question, what if I don't have the amount of players that I have? Just asking the question, you don't even need to answer it. Just ask it, and the processes in your brain will begin to work. It will start to come through that if you do end up with only 7 kids, you'll already have an idea of what you might do, or how you might adjust your drills and all these kind of things, even if you didn't write it down. Okay, so a wonderful question to ask yourself is, what if my plan is broken by the number of balls I don't have, or it rains, or something like this? Okay, so preparation. Number 2 is get after it. I didn't want to write hard work because, look, we are basketball coaches, and I don't know each of your individual situations, but I don't know if I've ever met a Filipino basketball coach or any other basketball coach that's ever thought about the occupation that they have, the job that they have, as work. It's more like, this is my passion, this is my drive, this is my calling, this is my life. So I don't want to write hard work. I don't want to tell you to work hard. Working hard is for people that have a 9-to-5 job and have to go there and do it to pay the bills. I'm really speaking about, let's get after it. You've got to get after it if you're going to be a basketball coach, because that's what you're going to ask of your players. We cannot ask I don't think we can ever ask our players to get after it if we are not getting after it in our own way. And that doesn't mean we have to run around, but it does mean that we have to prepare, and it does mean that we have to come to the court prepared. And that might be, just in the way that we present ourselves and the way that we speak with the parents. Okay, this is a grassroots basketball meeting. So one of the things that we always need to be doing, if it's possible, is speak with the parents, either at the beginning or the end of the session, or if that means calling them after because you don't see them very often at the court. But building a relationship with the parents is such an important part of understanding the kids that you're working with, and building that environment that you are working towards. That's getting after it. Yeah, calling the parent, like if you have 10 kids on your team and one of them doesn't show up, calling the parents afterwards to find out where that kid was. just to understand, not to catch them out or punish them, just to understand what, if there was any issues or problems. That's getting after it. Be consistent. Consistency is king. I think that when again, with social media and the way that the internet is right now, I think a lot of kids, and we are exposed to it as well. Kids see that they have to work extremely hard right now for a long time, and more than anybody else in the gym. They have to be the hardest working player. They have to be sweating and dying on the court every practice so that they can achieve success. Okay, for me, and again, we're at grassroots level, this isn't true. This is not true. This is this is a lie that is being perpetrated in social media, and it's a damaging one. Because let's go back to the North Star. For me, again, access, success. Okay, access and success. I want to make sure that the kids feel that they can come and play basketball and it's fun and they are winning. They are doing well. Okay, I don't want to put on them that they have to work extremely hard to be good at this game and then experience success. This, for many people, will put them off and will mean that if for any reason they are not prepared to put in that work straight away, that they might stop playing. But being consistent is slightly different for me. Being consistent means each and every day kind of operating in the same way, which is moving me towards my goals. Okay, so if I'm talking about, first of all, just you as a coach, being consistent means not being too up and down with the kids. All right, we all have our own personal lives. We all have our emotional things that are, that maybe weigh us down. And sometimes we have good days and sometimes we have bad days. But we as coaches have a heavy responsibility when we're teaching young children. And if we bring our emotions and our difficult struggles in life to the court, and then we're inconsistent with the way that we act with the kids, this is going to provide a negative kind of environment. And now I'm moving away from my North Star and my priorities, my values, and I'm kind of creating this negative environment. We got to be consistent, and that means maybe having some practices as coaches that allow us to transition from our life to the court. I think preparation can really help you with that. If you prepare for the practice and you spend some time thinking about it and planning it, you are giving yourself some time to move from wherever you were, might be at school or with your family. Now we're at the practice. And okay, my North Star is access and success and confidence, having fun. This is what this is all about. If we can build that consistency over time, I think that, we will continue to give the kids a great experience. Now for the kids, just to come back to that social media point, the point I want to make here is that, yes, you do need to get after it. You do need to work hard. There's no question about that. But working hard is not all about the work itself. It's actually part of the work. And the work is on the court, working on the skills and the tactics of the game. Then there is the part of recovery. Then there is the part of study. Okay, these are maybe 3 components of working hard. Okay, so you can work hard for 30 minutes on the court. You can spend 30 minutes stretching or in the ice bath or, cooling down, recovering from the practice, and then spend, 10 to 15, 20 minutes talking with a coach or learning about the game. If we're talking with little kids, maybe we're teaching them some rules of the game or something like that. This is working hard. And this is more, for me, a little bit more holistic. And with consistency, if you are covering all sides of the square, for example. You know, we've got the basketball work, we've got the recovery work, we've got the study work. This player is going to continue to get better and better and better, and it's going to improve over time. All right. And really when I think about coaching, I want to see how have I influenced this player over a period of a long time, you know, maybe 5 years or 10 years. What are they going to be like in 5 or 10 years time, having been with me for, let's say, 1 year or 2 years? How much of an influence can I have on them in that time period? So that doesn't mean that they have to be in a gym for 6 hours a day right now just to win a championship for me. Okay, I want to help players develop good habits, have fun doing it, and experience success playing the game, so that they will be lifelong learners, lifelong participants. And if and when we do help any young players be professional players, that they will add tremendous value to their clubs and their teams when they get there. All right. Now, the last two of my fundamental truths. First one is forgive yourself and others. So, you know, I said prepare, I said get after it, I said be consistent, and then sometimes, you know, sometimes it's not going to work out that way. Sometimes you're not going to be able to prepare to practice. Life is going to be, you know, too crazy for you. Sometimes you're not going to get after it. You're going to have periods where in your life things are difficult, and for some reason you experience some period where, you know, you don't coach so well, or whatever it is. You know, we all go through life experiencing highs and lows, ups and downs, periods where we do really well and some periods where we don't do so well. And this goes for the kids, right? There is going to be periods in the kids' lives, and even like within one practice, where they're going to do very well. Sometimes they're not going to do very well. Sometimes their attitude's going to be really good, and then sometimes it's not. And the younger you go with those kids, the more true that is. You know, you might have a 1 hour session where a kid is as good as gold for half an hour, and then all of a sudden the switch flips and you can't control him anymore. And that could be any number of reasons. You know, with little kids, maybe they're just hungry, or maybe they had a bad day at school or something like that. Being patient and forgiving yourself for sometimes not doing the work that, you know, you say that you want to do, or the preparation that you promised that you would make, or the consistent effort that you promised that you were going to make. You know, forgive yourself for that. This happens. It's okay. Let's just move on. Yeah. With this, I just want to kind of say, let's drop the judgment a little bit. You know, when I was younger, as a young coach, I used to judge kids quite a lot for not putting in the effort, for not turning up on time, for not doing well, you know, for not trying. And, you know, the older I get, the more I realize that I think most of the time those kids are really trying to do their best. And it didn't help that I was pouring more and more pressure on them to try harder or try to do things that they just couldn't do. And in turn, what I was doing was I was taking away their success or their opportunity to succeed. And I think that when people are a bit more relaxed, when people are a bit happier, they are in a place where they can go and express themselves. So forgiving a kid for making a mistake and forgiving yourself for not planning that practice allows you to kind of open up a space and just move forwards, instead of spending time, you know, ruminating on it and thinking about it and judging it. And you just spend too much energy in the past. Okay. And I already kind of touched on it. Time and space, right? We talk about basketball. Time and space in offense is that's a fundamental truth. If you can get your kids to space the floor, if you can get them to be equal space away from each other, and no spaces that are too big, no spaces that are too small, then kids can pass to each other, they can cut, there's places for them to go. Understanding space is a very difficult thing to teach little kids, but it's a super valuable one. If they can understand not to just run around the ball like a bunch of bumblebees and actually spread out a little bit, and if you can find ways to do that, you're really going to help the kids to succeed. Timing is another fundamental principle of basketball in offense. So when things happen, right? So if somebody is driving to the basket, we can't all have the other guys cutting to the basket at the same time. And by the same token, you can't have two players cutting at the same time to the same place. Timing is everything. If I ask for the ball like this, I need to get it right now. I can't get it in 2 seconds time when the defenders have realized that I'm asking for it, right? So in basketball, when you actually talk about the tactics and the skills of the game, spacing and timing are fundamental truths that if we can, I would spend a lot of time working on games and activities and drills to help the children understand that stuff. On a bigger level, giving yourself and the kids that you work with space and time to grow, I think is a very difficult but very worthwhile practice. Okay, if you spend your time with 8-year-old kids or 10-year-old kids learning the game, some of those kids are going to progress faster than others. And it's like I said earlier, the education system in where I'm from, it's a little bit too much pressure right now on progress in a linear fashion. You know, when you're in year 7, you're supposed to achieve this. When you're in year 8, you're supposed to achieve this in maths, English, science, languages, whatever. And it's like a factory line, you know, because education system was built for in the industry, you know, 20, 30 years ago when you were going to go work in a factory, but people aren't working in factories anymore. You know, we're basketball coaches, or we want to be professional athletes, or we want to be entrepreneurs, or, you know, we want to do creative work. So that kind of mindset, if you want a creative basketball player, you've got to give him space. You've got to give them time to read what is in front of them, to make sense of what is in front of them. Okay, so when you are coaching, or when I'm coaching, one of the most difficult things to do is to let children learn at their own pace, but balance my role as a coach to kind of challenge the kids a little bit to try something which maybe is a little bit difficult. Okay, that's a very, very subtle and very, very difficult thing to do. But again, when the kind of reason that I want to, you know, share these kind of things is put it out there, right? We talked a couple of weeks ago about observation for selection. When you observe athlete selection, you know, you're having a tryout, and you know, I'm saying the head coach should be kind of sitting back a little bit and watching what is going on. Watch how people respond. Watch the kind of skills that they have. Don't get too mixed up in the coaching of details, because if you observe, you're going to see something. You're going to see some stuff which you will miss if you are too busy coaching. All right. So I argue that in our coaching, especially with children, that's where we should be most of the time, is kind of observing what's happening and seeing who wants to be helped, because sometimes kids want to be helped and sometimes they don't. So when you put out drills and activities and games in your practices, you might see a kid struggling, but you might also see that he or she wants to figure it out for themselves. So us going to coach that kid in that moment will not be very effective, because they don't want to hear it. They are ready for the challenge, or they are in some way proud of the skills that they have, and they want to be able to overcome this difficulty that they're having. Vice versa, you might find a kid who's kind of looking up and looking around for help, and that's the person that we need to go to and ask if they need any help. All right. So that place comes from observation, from giving yourself some space and some time, and in turn, give the players space and time to grow, to learn the skills. With this, I would say at grassroots level, repeating things that you've already done before is worth doing, because if you have good drills, you have good activities and good games that provide learning opportunities for the kids, coming back to those things after a week or 2 weeks of having done it before gives the kids an opportunity to recognize what they were doing and then make improvements. And that's a great way for us as coaches to test what we think the kids are learning, right? So if you have like here's one of my favorite drills, right? Let me get some water. Here, I'm not going to give you a lot of drills. I have a lot, but I'm not a big fan of just talking about drills. I will ask you at the end if anybody wants, me to share stuff like this. I will do it. I will try to do it, but I'm not a big fan of just talking about drills. I prefer to talk about, kind of the deeper level. But one of the drills that I really like for kids is, I call it 1, 2, 3 passing, where we line the kids up quickly and we number them off. And the rules of the game are no dribbling. The kids are going to move in a space, and then I'm going to toss a ball into number 1. Number 1 has to pass to number 2. Number 2 has to pass to number 3, and so on and so on. And we're going to put at least 2 basketballs in. So if you've got 8 kids, I would put 2 balls in, so that it makes it a little bit more challenging, right? You pass the ball and then another one is going to come not too long after that. If you've got more than 8 kids, I would be trying to get 3 or even 4 balls in, so that it's really challenging for the kids to communicate, to space, to recognize order and what's coming next. This is a wonderful, wonderful drill, which doesn't require any coaching after you've explained the rules. Okay, what will happen is the kids will naturally understand that they have to speak to each other, that they have to space the floor. What you might have to coach are the fundamental skills like triple threat and the pass. Again, if the spacing becomes an issue, then this is a piece of advice that you might want to give. We may get into something like this tomorrow. Tomorrow, I'm going to talk about individual development a little bit. But anyway, my point here is that this is a drill which I might do on Monday, and then again on Friday or the following Monday, whenever I have a practice again with the same group. When kids recognize these drills, obviously it takes less time to explain them to the kids. So now you have less time talking in the practice, which is great. And if it's a nice drill, a good activity to do, then you get a chance to see, right, how did they do on Monday and how did they do on Friday, and see if there is improvement, even if you didn't work on anything related to triple threat or passing. And this is like, if any of you guys know Basketball Immersion, I think Chris Oliver and Alex Samara are doing some quite nice work with drills and activities right now. They are kind of challenging the paradigm that we should be doing a lot of drills with cones and a lot of repetition, and more putting kids and players in situations where they have to make decisions as well as execute skills. And I think that if you can create or come up with or take from other people drills and activities and games, which they're not just like line drills where kids are repeating the same movement over and over again without defenders, into kind of live situations. These are drills which you can come back to again and again, and you can layer on top, and then you can see progress without necessarily teaching anything. All right. Remember, guys, if you've got questions, put them in the chat. Let me just have a look here, see if anybody has done that. I wonder if I can, let me stop sharing real quick. Okay. Not yet. All right. So if you've got questions, send them in the chat. I'm going to get to that in a minute. I've got about I've got 2 more topics to cover here for our okay. So practices. Here's what I'm going to say here about this. Even at the grassroots level, and especially at the grassroots level, it's not just about basketball skills. When kids come through the door and they want you to coach them, I don't think any 6-year-old kid really wants to be in the NBA. I don't believe that. Okay. If anybody tells you, they might have been brainwashed from, older kids or their parents or something. 6-year-old kids, they just want to have fun. Okay. So if you can provide an environment where they enjoy the game and they enjoy the session that you put together because they're with other people, that they get challenged, that they experience success, that they can have a go at stuff, that they are allowed to fail. If you can put all that together, then kids are going to have a great time and they're going to come back. Okay. And as a North Star, that's kind of where you're at, right? I mean, if you can do that, everything is good. Now, as a next level kind of challenge, what I'm trying to do at this level with the kids is provide an experience that allows the kid to grow. All right. Remember, I said one of my priorities was growth. So how can I help kids that come to my basketball practice not just become good basketball players, but actually become good athletes and good people? So all of my training sessions are going to involve these 3 elements: basketball, what I'm calling strength, and mindfulness. Okay, I'm going to go into the other 2 in a moment. Basketball, obviously, we're all basketball coaches. Your basketball practices are going to have ball handling, fundamental skills, shooting, some spacing and timing or tactical element, or something about competition in the game. I mean, we're going to go into that, I think, in another session: individual development, planning the practice, coaching the game, very basketball specific things. Okay, so we got that covered. Strength for me, when I coach kids or when kids come to me for basketball practices, I want to help them develop a way of moving and a way of kind of approaching life, which helps them bit by bit, day by day, get stronger and stronger and stronger. And that, strength to me also can mean mobility, flexibility, agility. I kind of, for me to be a strong person, you got to be able to do all that other stuff as well. You're not strong if you're a massive bodybuilder and you can't move, you just move around like this. Like, this is not strong. You're just, you just have big muscles. You're strong, especially as a player, if you can move well, and if you can be light on your feet, and if you can change direction, and if you are not ever going to get injured. Okay, so this is why this has to be a fundamental practice for me, is to try to help kids get strong and healthy so that they don't get injured, because injury will stop them from playing. And I don't want to stop anybody from playing. That's my North Star, is access. I want them to be able to play the game. So thinking about exercises, activities, I'm not going to say, I don't want to say punishments, but maybe, sometimes you have to, if one team wins or another team loses or something like this, we can do some kind of exercise or something, or a way to finish the practice or end the practice, which is kind of funny, it's enjoyable, but it's also working on strength or agility or one of those things. So again, I'm happy to share with you, if you want, some of my actual practices and the things that I do. Just ask me for those. All right. And then mindfulness for me is about basically self-awareness. Okay. It's about learning about yourself. So all the kids that are going to come to you, they're going to come to you from a different background, from a different family life, from a different environment, and learning about who these people are, and kind of helping them to understand, you know, that they don't have to be so attached to the way that they act. It can be very powerful. So what I mean by this, as an example, is if we're teaching young kids at a grassroots level, sometimes what tends to happen, right, is the ball gets tied up with kids a lot of the time. Yeah, two kids are holding the ball and they're wrestling for it, they can't get rid of it. Sometimes this can turn into a fight, or, you know, one kid getting mad or something like that. Mindfulness is like approaching this, instead of being like, okay, you know, stop doing that, it's your fault, you know, that's not the way that we operate in this practice, because this way, like parenting, what I am starting to learn is kind of telling the kids that they are not allowed to have their emotions. And if you demand that children always act in an appropriate way, they start to learn that they are not allowed to feel certain emotions, even though they will feel them. And then they will become confused, because anger will rise up in them at some point, or sadness, or fear. And they will maybe say, oh, I don't want to feel that. I mean, push that down. That's not allowed. And what can happen here is then people start to have problems when they're older. And maybe all of us on this call will know what I'm talking about, because we all experience it. Because when we were younger, our parents might have said to us, you know, stop crying, don't do that, don't act like that, don't, you know, be upset. And this teaches you that the emotions that are rising up in you are not they're not allowed. And actually they are. And when you allow them to come and then also go, and you are allowed to experience them, actually, we all say this, right? Experience is a great teacher. It's really the best one. So if kids are allowed to experience these emotions and allowed to kind of show that, kind of let them manifest as they are, and then given an opportunity maybe to talk about them afterwards, or maybe reflect on them, or maybe given an opportunity to go and apologize if they you know, acted in a bad way that hurt somebody, then this might give kids a bit of an opportunity to become a bit more self-aware. And a self-aware person is a strong person. So these are my practices that I like to try to get into, you know, my daily work. Finally, a coach's library. You've got to have your own library. And here are the 4 components of the library. Drills or exercises. Okay, so we're talking about repetition, talking about skill learning, talking about activities which have a predetermined kind of goal. But skill drills, ball handling drills, shooting drills, exercises for strength and agility, right? These are, you know, go get them. They're all over the place. You know, I got some, Calvin's got some, Coach Ray's got some, Coach Louis got some, you know, there's coaches all over the world. It's on YouTube, everywhere. You know, go get them. Build your library of that stuff, but also build your library of activities and games. Okay, activities are things which they don't necessarily have any goal or any meaning. They're just fun. And a lot of the time, if you're at a grassroots level, you need to have a lot of these activities, especially if you can have them in the back of your mind, because even when you prepare your practice, if things don't go the way that you want them to, you've got activities in your head that you know can change the practice immediately and can make it a bit of a happier environment. You know, if things are not going well, do you have any activities that you could just do where the kids can be having fun, enjoying themselves, moving around, talking, experiencing success, and with no learning goal, you know, no particular learning goal. And then games and competitions, all right? These are different. Games are basically competitive games, but not necessarily competitive. Okay, so sometimes you can do shooting competitions which don't have a winner or a loser. Okay, but sometimes you will do competitions which do have a winner or a loser. I've seen a conversation recently about participation awards, and there's a massive conversation about this, about, you know, should you give out participation awards for kids, or should you just, you know, have winners medals? I mean, whatever. It's an interesting conversation, but as a coach, we need to have the full toolbox. You know, my question for you is like, can you plan a practice where there's no competition? And can you plan a practice where everything is a competition? And can those two practices look very, very similar? Can you do the same activities and be competitive and non-competitive? Because if you can, that means that you can adjust the way that you coach, and you can be creative. And if you can be creative, then you can learn things off of other people, and then you can take them and twist them and change them for your group or for what you're doing. And you can create new stuff, which is not necessarily new, but it's a twist on something old. And I'm going to finish here with this. The main reason I wanted to finish here and talk about this is because I wanted to encourage everybody. And I'm not saying that anybody's not doing this, but it does happen in our community, where guys want to hold on to their own stuff. You know, you've got your drills, you've got your plays, and these are mine. And, you know, it's my secret to being a good coach. Unfortunately, there is no new stuff. It's all been done before. Whatever you learn is not yours. You learn it from somebody else, and they learned it from somebody else, and they learned it from somebody else. So let's all be open. Let's all share what we're doing. Let's all invite other people to come and watch our practices. Let's ask people that we are inspired by to watch their practices, or share video of their practices, or watch their games, or call them on the phone and talk about the game. You know, let's be open about that stuff, because that's the way that everybody connects and grows and discovers more. So with that, I'm going to finish. I hope that it was of some value to you guys. And I would really appreciate feedback on these topics. And now what we're going to do is, where am I? Stop sharing. I'm going to go back here. Okay. So yeah, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to open up a little space for questions on grassroots philosophy. If there's anything I haven't covered, or anything that you want to probe a little bit more on, then you know, just let me know in the chat right now, and I'll cover it right now. Otherwise, we will wrap up, and I will tell you my offer for you guys. Help even your opponents in the game. Yes. If you don't have opponents, you don't have a game. We got to have opponents in the game. So if they need help, do it, man. I mean, that's what I like doing as a player. I was scrimmaging the other night. I went to go play at the court the other night, and you know, someone is guarding me, and they're bigger than me, but they weren't using their body properly. So I was kind of posting him up and telling him, "Come on, man, you got to use your body better. You got to start. Don't let me come into the lane so late. I'm going to get position. I'm going to score on you." Because for me, this is the excitement of and enjoy of playing the game, is that I get the best out of you, and then I've got to figure out new ways of doing better. So, you know, let's not hold on to the things that we know and just and not share them. Let's try to help everybody else get better, and you know, and in turn we will improve. I'm going to give you one more minute here to ask any questions if you have them. And again, get me on Facebook, send me feedback if you feel anything was good, or anything was not so clear, or maybe things I talked about which you didn't understand or would like to go in a bit deeper, then just let me know. Okay, so I'm not seeing any questions. Here's my offer for you guys. in light of what I just said about sharing, okay, my email is headcoach@kairos-performance.com. Kairos is KAIROS-performance.com. If you need anything, if you want anything, ask me and I will try to help you. All right. So if you want some drills or some activities to play with kids at grassroots level, if you want some advice on a particular situation, if you want me to send you this presentation, do it. You know, I'll do my best. If you ask me to send you my entire library of drills, I'm probably not going to be able to do that. But you know, within reason, whatever it is that you ask for, let me know and I will try to do my best. Coach Calvin very graciously has shared the email address there. Most of you know my Facebook. I think my Facebook is rob.newson3 or Rob Newson. Just look for me on Facebook. You could also send me a message there. So over the next few days, we're going to do 3 more of these. One is going to be on individual player development. So for sure, we're going to be touching on basketball skills, starting from like grassroots level up through to the higher levels, what kind of skills, ages and stages. And, you know, again, you know me, so I'm going to be touching on a little bit more than just basketball skills, but we definitely are going to go there. And then Sunday and Monday is going to be about practice, planning and execution, and then game planning and execution. So I'm going to talk about all the things related to that. Last chance for questions.
Yeah, Coach Rob, Coach Lou here.
Thank you for all the nice things that you wrote. Who's this? We have rules at home and we also have rules in the court that they have to obey for their own good and to others. Yes, for sure. And we just, you know, we gotta be kind to ourselves first of all, man. I mean, you know, there are, as long as everybody is safe, that's the most important thing, right? So I didn't write that anywhere here in this presentation, but safety at any level has to be like the number one importance. And that can mean like safety on a physical level where, you know, you've got to make sure that the hoop isn't going to fall down on the kids or something like that. But safety also in terms of like helping kids not get injured. I think this is such an important thing. When you're chasing winning and you're really trying to do really well, it can be tempting to do things which will hurt the athletes later down the line or increase their possibility of injury. And that is very, very, I don't know if we should be doing that. I think we should be helping kids get sturdier and more robust and stronger so that they can play the game for as long as you know they want to. Okay, I got a question here from Calvin. Can your North Star change? I think maybe the answer to that question is, can you change? Because if you can change, then probably your North Star will change. But whatever, I think the most important thing is to review it periodically and ask yourself, is it true? You know, so right now for me at this level, you know, one more time, remind that we're talking about grassroots level. I'm not talking about the pros. I don't think that my North Star for my professional team is going to be to have fun. But for the kids, you know, 4 to 12 years old, something like that, yeah, that's going to be my North Star. And I don't know if that's going to change, but I got to review it so that I'm happy that it is still my North Star, that it is the reason that I would like kids to come and play basketball, and also that I'm doing it. Okay, and then if it changes, then yeah, that, of course it can.
Thanks, Coach.
Okay, something about time and space. Can I repeat it? You mean in the sense of basketball? Okay, to observe kids, to time and space to be patient, time and space to observe, time and space. Okay, all right. So Louis, I'm going to unmute you and where are you? Let's make sure I understand. Is he gone? Oh, Coach L gone. Okay, hold on. Coach L. There he is. Unmute. Okay, I'm asking to unmute you, Coach Louis.
Yeah,
So you
there you go. Can you hear me, Coach?
Are you there?
Yeah. Can you hear me?
Yeah, I got you.
Yeah. Okay. Because Coach, I really like what you have discussed about time and space. First of all, as okay, players should learn time and space. Okay, coaches. Okay, time and space. Time and space. Okay, being patient.
Mm.
Coaches, time and space being an observer. Okay, and time and space also that we will give to our kids to develop. Is that the five things that you had just mentioned during your when you were discussing about time and space? Because I really like it, Coach.
Yeah, I mean, I think the main point I was trying to make with that is it can be easy for us coaches to know where the development levels are, where the progressions are for the kids. And then we put out drills and activities and exercises, and we kind of know, okay, the kids are going to do this first, they're going to make these kind of mistakes, and then they're going to get better at it. And I'm going to coach them this way, and then they're going to, they're going to get better and blah, blah, blah. And it's going to go following my formula. This is how I always used to coach. And I'm trying to change now because my kids are showing me that it doesn't work like that. Kids can make very quick jumps if you let them. They can get better very quickly at things. Then they might plateau for a long time, and then they might get worse. And then they might make another jump, or they might improve steadily. Like, it's not up to me. It's not up to me to decide when the players or the athletes or the kids want to improve and can make that improvement. My role in all of this as a coach is to allow the environment so that they can, if they want and they desire and they want to put in the time and the effort, and I am able to keep providing challenges and also answer questions that they might have if they have them, right? So just as a quick example, if a kid is struggling to beat their man off the dribble in a particular drill, I might come in, I might roll in and say, right, well, you got to do this and you got to do that and you got to do this. And I don't know if they necessarily are going to hear it or not. I mean, it really depends on the kid. It depends on the time. So observing and just, being in tune with the attitude of the kid. Where are they? Are they really like focused and they're really engaged and they really want to do it? So I share with you this, maybe to help. Alan Keane, who is a national team junior coach who I learned a lot from a few years ago, he always asks the kids to review the plays afterwards. So if they're playing 3-on-3, for example, they might play 3-on-3 and then he'll pull a kid out, sub a new kid in, and ask the kid that he just pulled out to review the play. And it might be a discussion or it might not. The kid just might say something or he might not say anything. I mean, I don't know what's going to happen, but it's a great way to invite the kids to look at their situation and give what they see, because then you open up the space for the kid to be a part of the process, because they are part of the process. It's their learning, it's not mine. So I really like that. And like you say here, patience, observing and giving time and space for them to develop is it's a great thing that we could all do. And I'm sure all of us are doing, but always nice to be reminded that, you don't always have to coach. You can step back and look, and often you're going to see things through observation that you won't see if you're too busy coaching all the time.
Thank you so much, Coach Rob.
Thank you, Louis. Appreciate that. All right. Okay. Okay, guys, I think tomorrow I have to go at 9 p.m. my time, which I think is 10 p.m. your time. So I'm sorry if that's a bit late, but like I said, we'll do the live and then we'll offer the recording up on the page, so you can watch it anytime you want. All right. If you're free tomorrow night, we're going to do individual development. If you've got questions, please send them on the page or inbox me or send to that email address. And I will cover them in that session tomorrow. We're going to end now. So thank you, guys. Peace and love to all of you. I hope you're all well. And
Thank you, Coach Rob. Thank you,
Coach
Coach.
Rob. Thank you, Coach Calvin.
thank you.
Coach Louis.
Coach Rob.
Thank you.
Thank you, Coach.
Thank you, Coach Rob.